Hi, dear friends. Some words of Torah for Parshat Ki Teitzei. It's a rookie error, but it happens quite often. We get to this week's Parsha, and the Baal Kriya, the Torah reader, shows the Kohen the wrong place. You see, there are two adjacent columns in the Torah that each have a paragraph that begins with the words Ki Teitzei la milchama al oyevecha, when you go out to war against your enemy. The first is from the end of Parshat Shoftim, last week's Parsha, and details how the soldiers, intimidated by the formidable enemy, would boost their morale before going out to war. The second column contains the same words and discusses how soldiers, after experiencing victory, may be tempted to satisfy their lusts with a beautiful captured woman from the enemy side. Instead of showing the Kohen the second Ki Teitzei, which begins our Parsha, it quite often happens that he accidentally shows the Kohen the Ki Teitzei from the previous column in Parsha. As to what to do in such a situation where the person getting the Aliyah is shown the wrong place, this is a halachic discussion undertaken by the Shulchan Aruch and its commentaries beyond the scope of this short Devar Torah. The question, however, is whether it is merely coincidence that two paragraphs in the Torah open with the exact same words, Ki teitzei la milchama al oyevecha. This is especially curious since the first paragraph is discussing what to do when you're about to go into battle, whereas the second paragraph is discussing what to do in the aftermath of war. Why the exact same language for two completely different stages of the war? There's one more word that these two paragraphs share in common. The word is vira'ita, you will see. In the first paragraph, the Torah is addressing the fear that the Jewish soldier may have when he sees the enemy's army. Vira'ita sus varechev am rav mimcha. You'll see the horses, the chariots, and the larger battalions than your own. Do not be afraid because God will be with you. Now, in the second paragraph, after the war is over, you will see something completely different. Vira'ita bashivya eshet yifat toar. You will see a beautiful woman among the captives. When you're at war, you will see different things, depending upon what stage of the war you're in. When you're about to go into battle, it is natural to be intimidated through seeing all the potential for failure. Their army is larger, their weapons are better, they're using tactics that we're not used to and which may cause us to fall in battle, and so forth. Essentially, you will see all the negative things in the enemy, all those things that pose a threat to your safety and your future. Once the war is over, however, you will no longer see those things. After having defeated the enemy, you will instead see many nice and beautiful things that you had previously overlooked. That too is only natural. You can only see the positive in your enemy after the war, since if you would focus your attention on these things during the war, you might lose your resolve to defeat them. The reason I believe for the identical openings of these two paragraphs is to remind the Jew that there are so many things to see in this world. It is a product of our times and our circumstances that draw us towards seeing certain things and failing to see others. As Paul Simon said in 1970, a man sees what he wants to see and disregards the rest. Curiously, there are only two other times in the Torah where the word vira'ita, you will see, appears. The first is in the aftermath of the golden calf, when Hashem was showing great grace to Moshe and passed his glory over him. Hashem said to Moshe, Vira'ita et achorai, you will only see my back, a manifestation of God that is accessible to man. The other time is contained in a warning to Bnei Yisrael not to stray after idolatry, lest they lift up their eyes to heaven and see the celestial bodies. Vira'ita et hashemesh ve'et hayareach ve'et hakochavim. You will see the sun, the moon, and the stars, and you may start to worship them instead of God. Here, too, we see a study in opposites. Man can use his vision to see Hashem's handiwork and all his attributes manifest in the world, or he can misapprehend that beautiful world and detach God from that world. His scientific inquiry may lead him to think that there is no God running the world, and that instead everything came into being spontaneously on its own. A man sees what he wants to see and disregards the rest. What a person chooses to see is more a reflection upon himself than it is of objective reality. When Noach became drunk in his tent and debased himself, one of his sons, Cham, saw the ugliness of the spectacle. However, Noach's two other sons, Shem and Yefet, chose to overlook their father's nakedness and instead saw an opportunity to protect and cover up their father's shame. Ve'ervat avihem lo ra'u is the language of the Torah. They did not see his nakedness. That means that because of their holy disposition, they only saw an opportunity for doing good. Rabbeinu Bachya ibn Pakuda cites a story of a saintly man who was once strolling with his students. They walked past the rotting carcass of a dead dog on the street. His students held their noses in disgust, while the wise man simply said, "Look at the dog's beautifully white teeth." His observation was that even amidst great ugliness, one can choose to see beauty. We're living through a time of great selective vision. Society is so polarized because people are choosing to see certain things without seeing the rest. People choose to see the ugliness and deceit of one political candidate without seeing the very same in the other. During this horrible war with so many casualties, some are seeing the great threat the enemy poses if left alive to strike again, which is certainly true. Others see the great toll in human suffering on both sides, and that is also certainly true. Hamas cynically released videos of the 6 executed hostages with the deliberate intent of evoking this kind of conflict within Israeli society and the rest of the world. The key is to go through life with eyes wide open, even to the things we don't want to see. At the same time, it's important to know when our focus and gaze must be upon one aspect of truth over the other. During war, we must never lift our gaze from the enemy and must be unflinching in our resolve to neutralize the threat. Once the war is over, we can allow our gaze to once again see the beauty of the rest of the world, even that which is contained in our enemy. Let's all take some time, even during this very difficult period, to see the beauty and majesty within nature. While it's still pleasant outside, take some time to watch a sunset and appreciate the beauty of God's world. Make the conscious effort to see the beautiful and the good. Very soon, dear friends, may we be permitted the luxury of gazing upon all of humanity with that same sense of wonder and admiration when all evil is eliminated from the world. May we see it, dear friends, bimheira b'yameinu, amen. Here's wishing you a beautiful and amazing Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom.